Welcome back to the Everyday Stoic. I'm William Mulligan, and today my talk will be with Eddie Pinero, who is an international speaker. You may know him from his TEDx talks or his YouTube channel, Your World Within, where he delivers powerful speeches and storytelling, inspiring stories that he shares with millions of people. I hope you enjoy this talk. And as always, today's video is sponsored by theeverydaystoic.com, where you can get this Amorfati t-shirt, and it supports what I'm doing so I can bring more content like this.
So my name's Eddie Pinero, and I'm a speaker and content creator. I have a platform called Your World Within, where I tell personal stories about sort of the trials and tribulations of life, the wins and losses, in ways that hopefully help other people, inject value into their own world, see things in a different way that maybe they hadn't before.
When was the first time you heard about Stoicism?
Probably like a lot of people, it was a Ryan Holiday book, maybe Ego is the Enemy. To me, I was blown away by the breadth of people that used Stoicism in their daily lives, talking about all throughout history, from generals to CEOs to a lot of people that really add value to society, and seeing how they look at the world, compartmentalize it and break it down, mitigate some of that emotion that we feel as human beings making our way through life.
What is your interpretation of Stoicism?
A mental discipline. I think when I think of Stoics, I think it's, I think of the ability to separate what you can control from what you can't. I know that's one, piece or component of it, but, when I think Stoicism, I think, Eddie, what around you is controllable? What can you do with it? Are you lost? Are you mentally stuck or dwelling on things that are unchangeable? And how can you best position yourself to win with what you have? Because you have the strength and the capacity to do that.
You can dance in the rain or sulk in the rain. It will rain regardless. What is your thoughts on this quote?
Yeah, it goes right back down to that mental discipline. It's things happen to us, and the question is how you internalize it, I guess. And it's interesting because my brand is Your World Within, right? And it's in a way that is Stoicism. It's how are you internalizing things? How are you registering life mentally? Because that's going to produce your results. I think the inclination a lot of the time is to think that the world's going to give us something, and it's our job, to sort of succumb to things as they happen. We are followers as opposed to powerful individuals leading ourselves. Choosing what to see. That famous idea, it's not what you look at, it's what you see. How are you, there's an idea like two people can look at the exact same thing. One person's interpretation can be the reason they stay where they are, can be the reason they fail, can be the reason they never begin or quit. Another person can look at that exact same situation and say, that's going to be the reason that I succeed. That's going to be the reason something good is going to happen. I'm going to be better because of this. To me, that epitomizes Stoicism, that mental strength, that mental clarity, that decision to find the value.
What do you think of this quote? He who angers you controls you.
A big thing is depersonalizing what happens around you. When someone treats you, in a way that you're not happy with, or something bad happens, again, our sort of animal brain is to think, well, that's, directed at me. That's, an assault on me. It's like, no, incentives drive the world, and they did what they did because in some capacity they thought it was best for them. And so there's a real advantage in being able to take a step back and understand that. This is not the world versus you. This is a lot of moving parts. And the question will always be, what do you do with those parts? This is your opportunity, where others might, react in a bad way or get mad or get defensive. See it for what it is and understand that the upside is not in attacking that thing or being defensive, but extracting the value from it in moving on. That will always be the winning formula.
Is a Stoic mindset only available for a few people?
I mean, it's 100% available to everybody. I think, another simple way to put it is repressing and channeling emotion. It's pausing. It's taking a step back and looking at the world, as opposed to, being caught up in one moment of, whatever, X, Y, or Z. Everyone can do that. It's a skill, it's a muscle. It's not easy, but that's why we read the books, right? That's why, we study the Senecas and the Marcus Aureliuses, and, we want to sort of wrap our hands around that idea that a lot of the greatest value in life is hidden in plain view. It's stuff we walk right by. And, if we can discipline ourselves to find value in those little things and to pause and be at peace with our thoughts and how we're internalizing life, tremendous value, tremendous upside.
What is your favorite Stoic literature?
Like I said, Ryan Holiday's been a big one. The obstacle is the way, ego is the enemy. But also, like, you sort of branch off, in those books. He mentioned Steve Jobs as a student of Stoicism, George Washington as a student of Stoicism. And so, I've read George Washington's biography as well as Steve Jobs' Isaacson biography. And they're really masterful depictions of people that remain in check, remain concentrated and focused on the big picture. I think George Washington's biography is one of the most important books I've ever read. And it's funny when people ask me, what books do you recommend? That's always one of them, just because of the way he was so deliberate and the way he processed things and was able to see the big picture. Kept his composure in very uncertain times. That's something that anyone can take and pocket and utilize in their lives. So, I would say, to answer your question, that certainly those more known books is where I started. But then hearing these names, it just, you want to jump out and start learning about these people and how they thought and how they carried themselves.
Is there a specific situation in your life where a Stoic mindset has helped you?
I think as a creator, an entrepreneur, all the time, it's, you could say an interesting one is, the comments on YouTube. Like, a ton of them are, and most of them, 99.9% of them are positive, but the reality is you put yourself out there, at some point, right, you're going to get some criticism, you're going to get some negativity. And it's like, there are things you can control and there are things you can't. You're never going to make everyone happy. That's something you can't control. But the question is, there's a constituency of people that do need what you're providing. And are you doing that in the best way for them? Are you creating a product or service that's changing or impacting them in a positive way? And that understanding has been incredibly helpful, especially when it's easy to get worked up, or, we have this, what is it? Maybe it's called the negativity bias, but, you could eat at a restaurant 99 times, great food, one bad dish, and that restaurant forever is the restaurant of the bad dish, right? So we're always pulled to that sort of negativity, I think, naturally. And so, again, like, pausing and asking yourself, that's something that's not going to change. Is it worth exhausting our time and energy and effort there? Or do we want to look at the impact and really look to expedite that?
Why do you think it's important to not let emotions get the better of you in decision making?
because emotional decisions usually are not the best decisions. So, human beings are emotional, and we tend to act on emotion, but that's also where we get into trouble, right? It's like if you can pause and weigh out the rationality, not in a way where you're, making a pro and cons list every time you're doing something, but particularly when you're angry or annoyed or frustrated, they tell you when you're a kid, right? Count to 20, count to 100. You'll come back looking at the thing differently. That's not because you're a different person. It's because the emotion has subsided and you have this clarity where you can think long term, not in the moment, tomorrow, next month, next year, what action is going to help get me to that destination. It's a very different question than what feels good to do right now in the moment. And obviously we'll bring out two very different results.
What is your opinion on the avoidance of hedonism?
It comes down to, what matters to you, what's meaningful to you. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with partying if that's what you want to do, but know that you're sacrificing something on the back end. You'll never be as productive after a night of being at a club as you are, if you went to bed and came at it with everything you have. And so it's a question you need to ask yourself: what feels good now versus what do I want? And that's that's certainly not rocket science. Those two things are always in tension with each other, or most of the time, right? What do I want now versus long term? And that's what makes humans so incredible, is that we can think big picture, we can sacrifice the now for the later. It's just a difficult thing to do, and it's why a simple book, The Obstacle is the Way, for example, where Ryan Holiday brings out a bunch of different examples. You realize that the challenging thing in front of you, the thing that's maybe not the most comfortable now, simultaneously is the thing that has the most value for later.
I'd like to know your thoughts on this quote. It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable.
So the quote by Seneca, it is the power of the mind to be unconquerable, it to me speaks to a critical mindset for anyone trying to get to point A to point B, because it often feels like the walls are collapsing down on us, right? Like the world is pushing back and creating resistance. There's this powerful idea that you have not failed or lost until you have made a decision to stop, because of the fact that that resistance at times does push us down. That resistance at times does make us question ourselves. We do fall in the moment, but the decision to get back up and keep going means not only have you not lost, you are better than you were prior to the issue. So the mind being unconquerable, it means internalizing that resistance in a way that it's wind beneath your wings. It's the water that makes the seed grow, right? The very same thing that might cause someone else to say, well, I'm done, right? Here's where I draw the line. Another person to say, okay, what have I learned? I'm better. Here's the value. Putting it in my back pocket, moving on to the next thing. You don't fail until you stop. Otherwise, you're still in motion. You're still in progress. You're still attacking what it is you set out to attack. So it's a quote that rings true. The mind is unconquerable. As long as you don't let anything or anyone else in there, with regard to where you're going and what's meaningful to you, you'll go as far as you decide to.
Where can people find you?
Eddie Pinero on YouTube. You'll find a lot of my thoughts and speeches articulated in videos on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So definitely check me out there. I'd love to connect with you.
I hope you enjoyed today's talk with Eddie Pinero. If you want to show him some support, then follow him. The links will be down below. If you want to support what I'm doing, then please consider becoming a YouTube member or subscribing or heading over to my Instagram at The Everyday Stoic. We've almost got 400,000 like-minded Stoics in this community of Stoics that are sharing these ideas based around Stoicism, their advice, their answers on these questions that you may be asking all the time. And if you want to head over to my website, www.theeverydaystoic.com, you can get your hands on the Amor Fati t-shirt. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.